Dear students, today we will discuss landforms. Landforms are natural features of the landscape, natural physical features of the Earth's surface. For example, valleys, plateaus, mountains, plains, hills, and glaciers. The surface of the earth is constantly changing. The change in surface is due to internal and external processes. On the basis of the sources of the origin, the forces which affect the crust can be divided into two broad categories, that is, the endogenic forces which act from within the body of the earth and exogenic forces which react from above. Exogenic forces. Exogenic forces, also called as external forces of denudation. These forces are continuously engaged in changing the face of the earth. River, wind, glacier, and sea waves are the chief external agents which change the landform through the processes of gradation, degradation, aggravation, and weathering. Endogenic forces, the forces coming from within the earth or taking place in the interior of the earth, are called endogenic forces. They work abruptly as well as slowly. They produces moments on the earth's crust and often lead to either mountain building, volcanic eruption, or earthquakes. The landforms can be divided into three main categories: mountains, plateaus, plains. Now we will discuss what do you mean by mountains. A mountain is a mass of land considerably higher than the surrounding area. It is generally more than 600 meters above the sea level and has a narrow or conical peaks. Mountains are groups of very high hills forming long chains called ranges. Most of the mountains are formed of more than one chain parallel to each other. The Himalayas in the northern part of our country have three major ranges extending from west to east. Importance of mountains. Mountains play an important role affecting the climate of an area. For example, the Himalayas prevents the cold winds of North Asia from blowing into India. Mountains play a significant role in providing water and food supply to the millions of the people in the world. About 13% of the world's population live in mountains. Mountains are the major source of timber. They provide habitat to millions of birds and animals. Valley. A valley is a low area between hills. It is produced through faulting. It is formed when there are at least two parallel fault planes and the rocks in between the two fault planes have subsided. Typical example of valleys include the Great Rift Valley of Africa, Red Sea, and the Gulf of Suez. The Nile also flows through this rift valley in one part of its course. The Dead Sea, the Valley of Jordan, and the Rhine Valley of Europe are also rift valleys formed through faulting. It is believed that the valley of river Narmada in India has also been formed through the activity of faulting. The plateaus. The plateau is a broad and rather flat area of land rising sharply above the surrounding lowlands. They appear like tablelands. Most of them cover thousands of square kilometers in area. The Deccan Plateau of India is an example of the plateaus. Some of the plateaus are quite high, but they do not have pointed peaks like the mountains. The Tibet or the Tibetan Plateau is the highest plateau of the world. Large parts of Africa, Australia, Asia, and North America are occupied by plateaus. Plains. A plain is a broad area of relatively flat land. Plains do not usually have a height above 160 meter, but many plains above 400 meter exist in many areas. The plains are usually lowlands. Many of them are smooth while others are slightly rolling. Planes can be classified by many ways, but the best way to classify them is according to their mode of formation. Structure planes and depositional planes. Structure planes. These planes are formed by the endogenetic forces. These are either formed due to upliftment or subsidence of continental shelf. The Great Coastal Plains of USA and the Malabar Coastal Plains of India are formed due to the upliftment of continental shelf, whereas the vast plains of Russia and the central lowlands of Australia have been formed due to subsidence of the continental shelf. Depositional plains. The depositional plains are formed as a result of deposition of sediments in lowlands such as depressions, lake and seafloor. Most plains of the world are depositional plains. The depositional work is mainly done by rivers, glaciers, wind, sea waves and volcanic eruptions. Ganga Brahmaputra Plain of India, Huanghe of China, Mississippi of USA are the major depositional plains of the world. Dear students, hope you understood very nicely. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.